The average person is said to spend 15 minutes in the bathroom. Why not take advantage of that time and learn something new? Presenting the 15-minute podcast on weird facts, crazy details, and funny particulars that you'll be able to enjoy while you're taking a on your free time. Welcome to The Shit with Sam Butler. Welcome to another episode of The Shit Podcast. I'm glad to be here with y'all again. Thank you for joining us. I have a very special guest, first time on The Shit, but he's actually a stand-up comedian here in Ciudad Juarez. I've had the pleasure of working with him on several of the live broadcasts. He's a writer. Great dude, all-around dude. Played Jeffrey Dahmer in our last live podcast that was kind of like a serial killer-based podcast. So you made a great Jeffrey Dahmer.
Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. My friend is Adrian Israel.
Israel Adrian, actually.
Israel Adrian. It's in Spanish.
I guess it works both ways.
Works both ways. Yeah, it's cool. But Israel Adrian. Welcome to this shit, bro. Thanks for coming, man.
Thanks for inviting me, man.
Yeah, we do those live broadcasts with the guys from Leyendas Legendarias. We do the ones with we just did the one with Que Fue de Ellos, podcast, and it was great. You've been involved behind the scenes. You've been involved in front of the camera. You're a writer. But there's something about you that I go, I like that guy. Okay. You always show up with a bag full of Pulparindo.
Yeah,
right. It's a Mexican candy. You always show up. You're like, hey guys, I got the Pulparindo, right?
Yeah, usually.
And it's always like, badass. This guy brought Pulparindo. We're gonna have a good time. For you guys that are tuning in or watching this or listening to this, and you're American or from another part of the northern hemisphere, and you don't know what Pulparindo is. I'm glad that you're listening because this is why we're doing this particular episode in English. I want to introduce it to the rest of the world, because it's something that if you're from Mexico or grew up Mexican, if you grew up around here at all, you know what it is. Right?
I'm so excited now.
You're so excited, right? You're the Pulparindo guy.
I'm glad that's how you see me. I mean, it's all I wanted from this life.
That's it, dude. Like you're the guy. You know what I'm saying?
I'm the guy you call when you need a Pulparindo.
That's it. No, we call you because you're a cool dude. But you show up. It's like that's better than beer. You know what I'm saying? It's like you could be having.
It's a nice plus.
You could be having a terrible day, and then Israel shows up with a bag full of Pulparindos. You're like, fuck. It's gonna be a great day. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I thought it was gonna suck, but it's actually pretty good. Thanks, bro. So let's talk about it. Pulparindo. What is it?
What is a Pulparindo?
What is a Pulparindo? Well, in the U.S., a lot of people will identify it, but it's only because they go to what they call bodegas or tortillerias or Latin type stores, and they buy Mexican candy, right? Mm-hmm. Mexican candy. This particular candy comes in a yellow or red, but mostly yellow packaging. Usually yellow. It's flat. It's kind of like a taffy, but it's remember Laffy Taffy?
Yeah.
Right. It's that kind of packaging. Where it's flat. It's in a little
kind of
plastic wrapper.
Uh-huh.
Right. It's flexible. So what happens is they take the tamarind fruit, which white people are like, what the hell is tamarind? But Mexicans are like, oh, tamarindo, right? And they take the fruit, which is it actually comes in a pod. It's a brown pod, and it looks like
kind of like shit.
Well, a little bit, I guess. But when you take it out of the pod, the pulp does, right?
The tamarindo, not the pulparindos. Those are
they're great.
Those are great.
So the pulp to this fruit is mushy and brown, kind of a reddish brown color. And what these people did, and I'm going to talk about these people. These people are the De La Rosa Candy Company.
Yes.
Right? And the De La Rosa, the De La Rosa, candy company here in Mexico is very, very famous because they've created another candy that is a staple of Mexico. And it's actually, believe it or not, it's very similar to a Middle Eastern candy. mazapan.
I thought
right?
so.
In the Middle East, it's called marzipan.
Okay.
Or
marzipan.
Marzipan.
I think.
It's a marzipan.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's a marzipan. And what it is pretty much ground down almonds with almond oil.
Mm-hmm.
And they create this little cake type confection with ground down almonds.
Sort of.
Well, in Mexico, the De La Rosa Candy Company, which started in 1942 by Don Jesus Miguel Gonzalez, and his family began making homemade artisanal candy. The guy was a pharmacist. He knew about chemistry and he knew about formulas, and so he used that to develop these different confections, right? These different candies.
So it's like Breaking Good.
Bad. Yeah, Breaking Good. Yeah,
it's like Breaking
That's what
Good.
it was. He was a chemist,
Yeah. Okay.
So he began his very first thing was the marzipan, which they later called mazapan, right? Which is kind of a play on words too, because it's like masa is what flour or dough. So it's kind of a doughy candy.
Dough and pan bread. So
and the difference is
the
big difference between mazapan and marzipan is that it's made with peanuts. So they make mazapan with peanuts, cacahuates. And marzipan is almonds.
Okay.
Right. So
I actually always wonder what was it made of,
Really?
I mean, okay, let me start with this. I hate mazapanes.
I hate them too.
I hate mazapanes.
But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about pulparindo, so it's okay.
I always wonder that, but I'm sorry. Go on.
I never really liked them because they were too dry and they fall apart. And if you're a fat kid trying to eat a candy and you bite into it and it just falls all over your shirt, that's the worst candy in the world.
God, the trauma, man.
You lose 50% of it before you even it's bad enough having your food, your dinner on your boobs. You know what I'm talking about, right, ladies? It's like, and then you have to deal with this bullshit with the mazapan. Now, they have a chocolate covered one. I'm kind of curious. I think it might be like a Reese's Pieces peanut butter cup.
I haven't tried it yet.
But, and one of the articles that I read, they were making fun of it, calling it Reese's Pieces.
Okay.
Reese's Pieces. I was like, yeah, that's pretty clever. Reese. But they made them in 1942, and there was a lot of competition, and they got known as mazapan was synonymous with De La Rosa because their last name is De La Rosa, which is like from the flower.
And I mean, it's their staple candy.
Yeah. And so now everybody knows that that's the deal with the little flower. Well, these creative geniuses, and I say that with all due respect, they're creative geniuses.
They are?
Yeah. They got the tamarind pulp and they figured out how to flatten this thing out and how to add just the right amount of sugar, right? The right amount of and it has all the different ingredients here. Let me see.
That guy deserves a Nobel. I don't get why he didn't get a Nobel Prize.
Nobel Prize, yeah. It's sugar, salt, chili peppers, and all of this is mixed together in this great product called Pulparindo, right? And it's
great. Doesn't even cut it, man.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you that's the thing. That's the thing about growing up on the border. It's like Mexican candy is spicy and sweet and tart, and it's all in one. It's like an explosion in your mouth in a good way.
But what an explosion, man!
It's a flavor it's a flavor explosion in your mouth. I know that sounds dirty, but it is. That's dirty, dude. It's dirty, but it's delicious. The problem is, and then they have the extra picante one. I'm not too big of a fan of that one, but that one's pretty spicy. The red one. I like the original.
You can't beat the classics.
Yeah, the original Pulparindo is like a pair of Chuck Taylor tennis shoes. It's like it's always going to be good. Although I can't wear them because I'm fat, but still, they're great shoes.
But you can eat Pulparindos.
But I can eat Pulparindos.
So Pulparindos are better.
Yeah, they actually got in trouble because there was high contents of lead in the candy. And by high contents of lead, we're talking about anywhere from 15 parts per million or 18 parts per million is what they found in the lab. You know, the acceptable was like 0.01 to 10. And they were like at 15 to 18. So they went back, they did whatever they had to do to clean it up. And in 2007, they were certified clean enough to work in the state of California again, to have Pulparindo in California. So yeah, at one point in time, they had a really high lead content in the Pulparindos.
Oh, okay. So that's when the flavor went down.
That's when it started to taste horrible.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, that's when we all started getting radiation cancer. You know, it's because we didn't have enough lead in our system. No, just kidding. So that was the deal, man. There's a lot of articles out there that still tell you don't eat them. They're bad for you. They don't. They are, if they're able to operate in California, they used to.
But now,
and I think we had that same problem with toys and food, paint. We were oblivious to all that stuff.
Actually, recently there was this like controversy, I guess you can call it, because of the sugar in Pulparindos.
Yeah. That's what it said too. Is that the sugar, because it's glazed with, it's got a powdered sugar added to it, and in storage that sugar rises to the top, so it looks like mold.
Yeah.
And people were saying, "Hey, they're moldy," but it's not moldy. It's just that sugar residue, right?
Man.
Yeah.
I remember that clearly because my mom was like, You see?
You're not allowed to eat them anymore. You're like, I'm going to eat them, Mom.
And I still do.
You're like, hey, I smoke weed, right? I'm going to eat Pulparindo. Yeah. And that's just the way it is. So I started looking into what are the different things that you could do with Pulparindos.
Okay.
Know? Right? I only found a few. It was tough because people usually just eat them. They're that good.
Yeah,
but I found a couple of things that I thought were like, holy shamoly.
Okay.
First, and this is something you might want to try for Halloween.
Probably.
Right? It's Pulparindo covered apples.
Okay.
Right? I just blew your mind, right? So what you do is you take the Pulparindo, you take a tortilla roller, you put it on, you put saran wrap down, saran wrap over top of it, and you roll it out as thin as you can, and you wrap an apple in it, and you dip that stuff in that Lucas polvo, whatever it is, that the powdery stuff.
Okay.
And you have a Pulparindo covered apple.
Okay, man, I didn't know this. I didn't know I needed this until now, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. I love apples, but I love Pulparindos, and I never thought, hey,
let's marry them together, right?
They can go together, you know?
Yeah, know, they do the candy apple. Well, you can do it with Pulparindo and tajin and all that stuff.
No, but candy apple...
Yeah.
Screw that, man. I mean, Pulparindo apple.
Pulparindo apple.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty amazing.
It is amazing.
This next one is the shit.
Okay.
All right. Pulparindo tacos.
All
right.
I'm not really sure, man.
So what you do is you take the Pulparindos in a glass bowl.
Okay.
And you microwave it for about 20 seconds.
Microwave a Pulparindo.
And they get soft, right?
Okay.
And then you roll them out. And you take a wax paper or a saran wrap or something where it won't stick, and you roll them out so it makes one Pulparindo into the size of a tortilla.
Okay.
Right? Once you do that, it says you extend it out, and you add you kind of roll it up like you would a flauta a little bit, kind of like a half shell it, and you put cucumber, carrot, Japanese peanuts or japoneses, and you put gomitas de chile de jicama.
Okay, I'm gonna take your word for that. I don't think I'm gonna try it myself, but
right.
Okay.
Add chamoy, limes, a little bit of salsa, and your taco is ready.
I think I'm good without
You're
tacos.
You're good.
Yeah, The apple is just fine.
The apple's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. It grossed you out or what? You don't like, there's vegetables in that.
It's weird, man. I mean,
I think it would be awesome.
Maybe one day, just to try it and see.
Yeah, just have
maybe
like put a plate out with like a dozen of them, some peanuts, some celery, some carrot.
I'll try it eventually.
Chamoy.
I'm sure. I mean,
I think it's pretty cool. And the last one.
The
last one kind of threw me off, but I actually watched a video of somebody doing it.
Okay.
They took the pulparindo. They took a pen. They wrapped it around a pen. They kind of flattened it out, wrapped it around a pen. They made a seam down the top. They pulled the pen out, and then they folded. They left some of the end of it kind of sticking out. They folded it up, and then they kind of worked it like dough, like Play-Doh. They made a pipe. And then they smoked kush out of it. So a pulparindo kush pipe. And
Pulparindo.
Yeah. And so that's actually, I think there was a tamarindo kush challenge on like social networks. Like you actually had to like make your pipe, put kush marijuana in there and smoke it.
I mean, kids these days, right?
Yeah. and then it was funny because they were like, choose your favorite flavor of pulparindo to do this so that you get a little extra flavor when you're doing it. And then the dude was smoking kush out of this pipe made out of pulparindo.
Power to them, man. I don't think I would ever try that, but
it sounds...
It's not surprising because pulparindos are the shit, man. I mean, you can do whatever you want.
That's right.
I'm sure, but...
I know, and it's delicious, so I recommend to you guys, anybody out there, you've never had it, it's a little yellow flat candy called pulparindo. They have them all the Latino shops around the United States, and I believe in Canada and everywhere else. They're delicious, and don't believe the hype. They don't have that much lead in them.
Just the right amount.
Just the right amount of lead to give it that. But that's it for this episode of The Shit. Thank you for joining me once again. Thank you for being here, bro.
Thank you for inviting me, man.
Thank you for doing it in English, dude. I mean, I know that it's not your first language. So
I'm not used to, but we have to try.
We got to keep going. But that's it. Where can people find you on your social media?
Just look for Israel Adrian, either on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, and someday you'll find me, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're going to tag them on the episodes too, so you guys can find them. But yeah, you can find me as Tu Amigo Sam. That's Tu Amigo Sam on all social media, as well as my YouTube channel and on podcast platforms as Sta Cagado Podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. A big shout out to all my friends out there that are listening to this podcast in Mexico, using it for conversational Spanish classes. I really appreciate you guys reaching out and letting me know. And also follow our page on Facebook, our little group, Los Cagadienses. That's it for this episode. Thank you for joining in. We'll catch you next time.
See ya.